All right, today we're going to take you right inside the operating room to break down a truly life-changing surgical procedure. We're going to explore every single step of a technique that completely changed how surgeons can save a spine under attack.
It's a really good question, right? How in the world do you get to something as central and protected as the spine by coming in from the side? Well, the answer is a technique called anterolateral decompression, a procedure that was developed to fight a devastating disease that attacks the very core of our backbone.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to follow the entire surgical journey in 6 key phases. First, we'll understand the problem. Then we'll set the stage in the OR, see how they clear a path to the spine, and then the main event, freeing the spinal cord itself. After that, we'll look at how they rebuild everything, and finally, a really brilliant adaptation they use for younger patients.
Okay, first things first, we need to get a handle on why a surgery like this is so critical. What is actually happening inside a patient's body that calls for such a precise and, frankly, dramatic intervention? So, it all comes down to one thing: pressure, a whole lot of it. As the disease attacks the vertebrae, it creates this mess of decayed bone and tissue. And this debris literally starts to crush the spinal cord. That compression is what can lead to paralysis and really severe neurological damage. So the challenge is huge. How do you get in there and relieve all that pressure without damaging the incredibly delicate cord itself?
All right, let's head into the operating room. Because before a single cut is made, the success of this entire operation really hinges on one single factor: how the patient is positioned on the table. And you gotta understand, this technique wasn't just some idea they came up with overnight. No way. It was carefully refined over more than 1,000 cases, spanning almost 40 years. And all of that incredible experience led to one absolutely critical insight about how to set the patient up for success.
So, what did all that experience teach them? Well, it's pretty clear when you look at it side by side. The prone position, so face down, can cause some serious bleeding risks. But the lateral position, on their side, is just way better. It cuts down on bleeding, it lets the patient breathe more freely, it gives the surgeon a much clearer view, and this is pretty cool, it even uses gravity to help pull the organs safely out of the way.
Okay, so the patient is in the perfect spot. Now the real surgical work begins. This first major phase is all about creating a safe, clear pathway right to the spine itself. The surgeon's approach here is super methodical. They make a large, curved incision, which allows a whole flap of skin and the tissue underneath to be pulled back. This helps minimize bleeding. Then, the surgeon carefully divides the powerful muscles of the back to expose the ribs, which are basically the bony gateway to the disease site. And that leads us to this beast of a word: costotransversectomy. I know, it sounds super complicated, but trust me, the idea is actually pretty straightforward. Costo refers to the ribs, and transversectomy refers to removing these little bony parts that stick out from the side of the vertebrae. So it literally just means removing the specific pieces of bone that are blocking the view. And you can really see the incredible precision right here. First, those transverse processes are removed. Then the ribs are cut. Using a special curved tool called a gouge, the surgeon carefully separates the head of each rib from the vertebra, rotates it, and then removes it completely. And just like that, they've created a clean, totally unobstructed window to the side of the spinal column. All right, we've cleared the path. Now for the main event, the most critical part of the whole operation. It's time to finally free the spinal cord. Okay, so now they have a direct line of sight. The real work can finally start. If there are any abscesses, those pockets of fluid, they're drained right away. And now the surgeon can finally get to the diseased bone and all the dead tissue and debris that's causing all that pressure. But hold on, before they start removing anything, it's all about safety. I mean, we're right next to the spinal cord and vital organs here, so they find the nerves that run between the ribs to use as guides. The lung is gently moved forward, and then these broad, curved tools called spatula are slid in to create a protective wall, holding everything safely out of the way. You know, this quote from the original research really says it all. It's the psychological turning point of the whole surgery. After all that work just to get there, the second the surgeon can actually see the spinal cord, everything changes. The target is in sight, and the path forward becomes clear.
So they use this special tool, a bone nibbler, and they start carefully chipping away at the pedicles, the bony walls of the spinal canal, piece by piece. This finally exposes the side of the cord. And now, because they're working from the side, they can finally reach in front of the cord and clear out all of that diseased gunk that's been causing the compression. At last, the spinal cord is free. Okay, deep breath. The spinal cord is free. That's a huge milestone, but they're not done yet. Now the focus shifts entirely to making sure the spine is stable so the patient can heal properly. The final phase is all about meticulous cleanup and reconstruction. First, the surgeon makes sure the healthy bone surfaces are bleeding, which sounds a little weird, I know, but it's actually a crucial sign that the bone is alive and ready to heal. If there's a big gap, a piece of bone graft is put in for support. And finally, the whole area gets washed out thoroughly before it's closed up, layer by careful layer. But what if the patient is a kid, someone whose spine is still growing? Well, the standard playbook goes out the window, and they have to use this really incredible adaptation. See, here's the problem. In kids, especially those under 13, their vertebrae aren't solid bone yet. They're mostly soft cartilage. And you just can't anchor a bone graft to that. It's not a solid enough foundation. So they needed a completely different solution. And that solution is called the 360 degrees procedure. It's pretty much what it sounds like. In the exact same operation, right after they finish the decompression from the side, the surgeons then go to the back of the spine and perform a fusion there. They are literally stabilizing the spine from all sides, all at once. And this is just so smart. This approach gives the spine immediate, strong stability from the back. And get this, for the graft material, they use the exact same ribs that were taken out at the beginning of the surgery. Nothing is wasted. It's this incredibly elegant solution that helps stop the spinal curve from getting worse as the child grows. When you look at this whole procedure, it really is a testament to innovation. It shows us that by completely rethinking the path you take, by deciding to go in from the side instead of the front or back, surgeons can find new, elegant, and life-saving solutions to some of the most difficult problems hidden deep inside the human body.